The college football experience, Auburn Tigers 2024 season preview episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 100 times the amount of money you enter with Underdog's Pick'em. So hop on over there and check that out and sign up with the promo code TCE SGPN to claim your special Pick Plus first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. And yes, they do have college football. So hop on over there, UnderdogFantasy.com. Promo code TCE SGPN. And remember, as always, folks, too, let it ride.
This is Jerry Glanville, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride, brother.
Experience Auburn Tigers 2024 season preview episode. Season previews are here, and folks, if you didn't know, we're going through all 134 teams like we do every year, but this year it's 134 teams because of Kennesaw State coming up to the FBS. So, you know, we've been doing this shit for years, but subscribe. Tell a friend, youtube.com/the college experience. Because look, no matter what your team is, we're going to cover it. So hop on over there, youtube.com/the college experience. Also iTunes, Spotify, wherever you can catch them all at. But we are here to talk War Eagle football, the Auburn Tigers. And if you're wondering just who the hell you're listening to, that's fair. My name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, a.k.a. Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I'm probably drinking too much and celebrating too much and not sleeping. Would have killed a normal man, but no, that's gone. The medical advice I got from that was like being hit by lightning. Pretend it never happened and get on with your life.
Sometimes you got to pretend like it never happened. And that's recent. I mean, really the past couple of years for Auburn Tiger fans. It's been a changing of the guard. But, hey, there's opportunity here. You had that prick poison your trees. You know what I mean?
Roll damn time.
But Saban's gone. And it's a brand new SEC 12-team playoff coming. A lot to talk about here. 16-team SEC. We're going to go team by team. No, we're going to go game by game on the schedule. We're going to talk about the offense, the defense. We're going to get them on the run. What's he saying, Rudy? We're going to go outside. We're going to go inside. We're going to get them on the run. I am joined by my co-host. Give it up for the host of the Bottom Line Bombs podcast and a guy, if you listen to the college experience last year, he was on a good share of team previews. And so I'm excited to get him back on the show. Speculation that he might have been at the strip club with Hugh Freeze back in the day. Give it up for the bet detective, aka Scumbagger Vance, CJ Sullivan. How you doing, buddy?
What's up, everybody? The man in the box. Glad to be back. It's great. College football season started. I love it. Starting with the A's, triple A's at Auburn. I still laugh. Maybe the greatest sports talk radio call ever is when that guy called in to say he poisoned those trees at Cooter Island after the Alabama football game. Because the guy's like, "Hey, call, you got it," and they're like, "Oh, are you joking?" You know, that sports talk voice. You know, no, yeah. I ain't joking. I poisoned them goddamn trees. Roll damn tide. Like, well, I think that's a felony, sir. But okay.
Let me tell you. I mean, look, I know they're not happy with that, but still, you only get that in college football. I remember,
funny, man. It was so funny.
I think it was Louisville, Kentucky, Governor's Cup. Mm-hmm. Maybe it might have been college basketball. I think it was college football though. Maybe it was basketball. I'm not sure, but you get the two people in an old folks home, getting a full-on fist fight.
Yep.
They're 85 years old over who I like Kentucky. Well, I like Louisville. that is college football and college sports in general. Like I said, I can't recall if that was basketball or football for Kentucky and Louisville, but either way, that's the beauty of college sports to me.
Amazing.
You got the passion on another level, man. And here we are talking Auburn Tiger football. Hugh Freeze, year one, and I have some sweet graphics I'm going to put up here in a minute.
Yeah, put it up. Let's see some of these Canva techniques.
Well, I want to ask you about this because Hugh Freeze was 6-7 in year one there.
Okay,
which was Harson's first year. He was 6-7.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to ask yourself: is that Freeze also has the track record though of the second season being so much better than the first, but I don't think it's what Auburn fans wanted. I think they wanted a better year than 6-7, but at the same time, I think they knew the cupboard might have been a little empty. But when you look at this program, to me, I was a big Auburn fan, like specifically the Terry Bowden era with like Frank Sanders and stuff, and Damian Craig and Patrick Nix. But with Bowden, with Tupperville, with Chiswick, with Malzahn, they were rolling. You fire Malzahn and went 68-35. I understand, it's tough if you're not beating Saban. You got to go. But now Saban's gone. The Harsin experiment didn't work out. Now Hugh Freeze, a lot of pressure, I think, on year 2, 6-7 at the year 1. What's your opinion on Hugh Freeze in general? And you think he's the right guy for the job?
Well, he's a terrible human being, so he fits right in line with these Auburn head coaches. He goes down the line.
Tuberville's a senator. He's a senator these days.
And he's he's an even worse person as a senator. Sorry, Tuberville. Terry Bowden keeps fucking leaving a wreckage behind him everywhere he goes. He's trying to weasel his way back into Division I. Hugh Freeze, so yeah, he blends right in. That being said, he is a good coach. And his second year, he is always better, like you said. And a lot of things will work more smoothly. They come together better this second year. So I kind of have not big aspirations for Auburn this year, but we'll get into it. I think they can surprise some teams.
Yeah, some would say this is the real running back. You know what I mean? From Lionel L. Train James to
Cadillac Williams.
Yeah, and obviously Bo Jackson and
Ronnie Brown.
Just a ton of great backs coming out of Auburn. Let's talk about it because last season, the offense, which is Hugh Freeze's specialty.
Yeah, that was a disappointing thing. The offense was not good.
72nd in the nation. If you don't have YouTube, we have some sweet graphics here. YouTube.com/The College Experience. 72nd in scoring per game out of 133 teams, 26.2 points per game. That charted as 11th in the SEC. 92nd in yards, which was 10th in the SEC at 351.2 yards per game. And then this was the shocker here. 124th in passing, 162.2 yards per game. Dead last in the SEC last year. Now running the ball, they were actually pretty good running the ball. 24th in the nation, 189 yards per game, 4th in the SEC. But what stands out to you? I think it's got to be dead last in the Vanderbilt passed better than Auburn. The hell's going on here? Exactly.
And they didn't improve it. That's what's really shocking to me. They're still bringing back Payton Thorne, a quarterback. Maybe there's an option. I know the portal's closed till August, as you were saying. Maybe there's a late option. They can bring in somebody. I don't even know who's out there, but I mean, I feel like it's going to be tough to run Payton Thorne back, although he does know the offense, blah, 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 experience. He's got no competition, which is a bad thing. So in today's day and age, especially, like you're saying, versus Vanderbilt, you can't be dead last like this. You just can't survive if you can't throw the ball at a prolific state.
Well, and the Payton Thorne thing was interesting because I was, he was a late transfer. I feel like to Auburn, and at Michigan State he had some solid years. I think it was 2021 when Michigan State won like 10, 11 games. He had 27 touchdowns.
Yeah.
In 22 he had 19, but last year 16 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. But the shocking thing to me was he ran for over 500 yards rushing the ball. When I picture Payton Thorne, I don't picture a guy that is gonna, run wild on you. Maybe that was some of the offensive line and him not feeling comfortable back there. To give you an idea, folks, he had 42 rushing yards the year prior. So from 42 to 515, that's like Mark Rippon getting handoffs. You know what I mean? Like that is right. a puzzling stat to me. Now I know he's maybe watching him last year. I thought he was a little more athletic than I gave him credit for in East Lansing, but at the same time, I definitely thought he never felt comfortable back there. Like watching each game, I know Robbie Ashford got a start and came in a couple, but to me, Payton Thorne never looked super comfortable as the starting quarterback of Auburn.
Right, and maybe that changes the second year with Hugh Freeze in that offense. I mean, who knows? That's part of the thing with Hugh Freeze's second year. But like what you said, he is not a rushing quarterback, and then all of a sudden he runs for 500. That's a couple things. That's a bad offensive line, getting out, and him bailing quickly on the pocket whenever there's any kind of pressure, instead of waiting for his progressions and taking a hit. And that's something you do with the more knowledge you have of the offense instead of just panicking and going. So that's not a good sign that he ran for 500 yards.
Yeah. And to your point, I was shocked that they didn't at least bring in somebody that I think could threaten or just be better than Payton Thorne. Not that I think he's horrible, but
he's not. He's not horrible, but but like you said, you'd think they would want that quarterback room to be more competitive. And I still think they might have a chance, but who knows?
Yeah.
That being said, they did run the ball well, and they will run the ball even better with Jarquez Hunter. I mean, he didn't quite have 1,000 yards. He had 900 last year. Of course, he didn't play the UMass game. If he played the UMass game, he would have 1,200 yards.
Yeah.
But he averaged 5.7 in his career. He's been there a while.
No, he's a stud, and I expect them to run the ball better this year. They do bring back from my count, and once again, this is a little. It depends what you define as a starter.
Look at this graphic you got going up here. This is beautiful.
8 starters back is what I see. Like that started multiple games on the offensive side of the ball. Payton Thorne, obviously, Jarquez Hunter that you were just alluding to. They also have Jeremiah Cobb. That he was not a starter, but he's adding some depth in the backfield. Rivaldo Fairweather was a stud at FIU. They brought him in.
Love Fairweather.
Led the team in receptions, but remember they couldn't throw the ball. So only 38 receptions, but it wasn't a ton of yards. But they're excited, to bring back Jay Fair and Caleb Burton III at the wide receiver spots, and then the 5-star freshman that they got the flip from Texas A&M. And I always find it hilarious because he was a 4-star and he flips. He's a 5-star. But anyway, Cam Coleman, I know, is a guy that they're just delighted to see. And they didn't have a difference maker at wide receiver last year. They also, bring back 3 starters on the offensive line from a year ago, led by Dylan Wade.
And Perry Thompson is another receiver they brought in from freshman who help. I think all this will help alleviate coverage for Fairweather because he was the only threat they had last year.
Yeah.
So I think when you put in Coleman, even Thompson, and Jay Fair as well, I mean, hopefully that'll just open up because Fairweather is legit. He was great at Florida International.
Well, the thing is, though, is that how can your freshman wideouts come in and be immediate impact? We saw Luther Burden at Missouri. That did happen as a freshman. But some places, I mean, you don't have to look that far away. In Alabama last year, they didn't have the greatest receiving core. If anything, the best guy was the guy they brought in from Georgia. So they might have – and they always have good recruits. So it's like, hey, what do we got here? They're going to need that, I think. And, they did – what's that?
No, I was just going to say, go ahead.
No, like one of the things, they're super aggressive in the portal. So they went out, they bring in KeAndre Smith Lambert from Penn State, a wide receiver that I'm not sure what happened there. I know Penn State fans weren't happy with him, but at the same time, like he was somewhat productive for Penn State and James Franklin. Now he comes in, adding some depth to the receiver room. Robert Lewis, who was a stud at Georgia State in the Sun Belt there. And then Sam Jackson was a quarterback at Cal, but it's funny. I just saw that he recently hit the portal, so I don't know what's going on here. Wow. But they also brought in Rico Walker, a tight end from Maryland. Maryland's been recruiting better lately. And then 2 guys on the offensive line, which I think we should note. Percy Lewis from Mississippi State, and then offensive lineman Ronan Chambers. I think Lewis for sure is one that I think they're excited about potentially starting for them, but maybe Chambers as well to shore up that offensive line that does return 3 starters from a year ago. And just anytime you're bringing back like 8, 9, 10, like to me, that's a good thing. That's a good thing historically in college football. I know it's a little bit different these days with the transfer portal, but they were active to try to get difference makers in there. They knew their biggest weakness was throwing the ball. So they went out, they brought in some big time freshmen. They brought in some big time transfers at the wideout spot. Maybe that can be the difference for them on the offensive side of the ball. I don't know. Do you want to add anything to that?
Just basically like it should help it out, and they should be much more balanced and more diversified. But they're still going to be pretty heavy on the run with Jarquez Hunter and Jeremiah Cobb. He'll definitely add. I mean, he's a great sophomore coming in there, but Hunter, I think all he has done is produce. I mean, he averaged 6 yards a carry his entire career there, over 2,000 yards, 17 touchdowns. Besides ATN at Georgia, I think he's the best running back in the SEC. Behind ATN. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, I mean, from last season, for sure. I know there's a couple backs in Austin that might have something to say about that, but yeah, I think it's a good debate. I think he's definitely one of the better backs within the conference. Mm-hmm. On the defensive side of well, first off, let me talk about what they lost. Also, Robbie Ashford, who did start, I think, a game or two for them last year. I think one game for sure, but he came in a few different games. He bounces over to South Carolina. And then, as I alluded to, Sam Jackson, who I don't know what's going on here. I don't know if he's here, he's back. It seems like he enters the portal, he's back. But Javaris Johnson heads out to UCF. Jay Fair to USC, which was shocking to me because I'm on one website telling me this. I'm on another website telling me that, but Jay Fair goes to USC. Malcolm Johnson to Bowling Green. Omari Kelly to Middle Tennessee. Coy Moore, who's in the portal. That's the best information I can get. He hasn't landed anywhere as far as I can tell. Tight end Tyler Fromm to Georgia Southern, and offensive lineman Garner Langlo to Appalachian State. See, a lot of those are going to schools that you're just not, if you're leaving a Bowling Green, okay, couldn't cut it in the SEC, right? I mean, that's okay. But I would say the Ashford one, a little bit of quarterback depth, and Javaris Johnson, and then Jay Fair, to me, kind of stood out.
For sure. Jay Fair was a little puzzling, but yeah, a lot of receivers bolted. They saw what was going on there. Who knows? I mean, I never know what to make heads or tails with the, why people are leaving and come and go. I mean, obviously, usually there's money, opportunity, whatever it is.
Yeah. And sometimes you're bringing in other guys. So you're like, hey, what the hell?
For sure. No,
you know what I mean?
And they tell them straight up, your job's gone. Go find somewhere where you can get work.
Yeah.
That's what it is. I mean, so they are employees now. So
Coach Prime did a documentary about it. Check it out.
Goddamn right.
Folks, I want to tell you, you're listening to the College Football Experience. We're going to break down the defense in a second, but we are part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, and the college baseball tournament starts Friday. Yes, what's going on? By the time you're listening to this, it's going on. And Noah Beanick has you covered with the College Baseball Experience. Plus, hop in the college baseball bracket contest for a chance to win a $200 SGPN gift card. SportsGamblingPodcast.com/bracket. Check out the College Baseball Experience. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes, the NBA Finals are currently going on, and our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy, wants to make it a lot more interesting for you. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Play their pick'em games as simple as selecting higher or lower on player stats like points, rebounds, assists, and much, much more. You can make entries of all basketball, or you can mix and match across your favorite sports. The UFL, the Birmingham Stallions are rolling. Maybe you want some NHL, who knows? MLB, college football. When it comes around, Underdog Fantasy does a great job covering college football. You can win up to 100 times the amount of money you enter, and it's a ton of fun. Underdog's available in 30 plus states, including California and Texas, as well as the country of Canada. So check it all out. And look, if you're in Florida, don't worry. They just launched the Champions, their player versus player format for the great state of Florida. Sign up today with promo code TCE SGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCE SGPN. All right, we are back. Is it fair to say you think the offense will go as well as those freshman wideouts will go? You know what I mean?
Definitely fair. I mean, that's just kind of the key that opens up everything. I'm quarterback play as well, obviously, but they go hand in hand, and like how quickly can they adapt to Freeze and all this shit. So we'll see.
Well, the defensive side of the ball from 2023, they were 43rd in scoring per game, giving up just 22.6 points per game. That was fourth in the SEC. So you say, hey, It's not horrible. They were 48th in yards, 357.2 yards per game they gave up, which was 9th in the SEC. 31st in pass defense. The clear strength of the defense was in pass defense, 202.2 yards per game, 4th best in the SEC. And they were 78th in rush defense, gave up 155 yards per game, 12th in the SEC. That is, I think, what you need to fix. But I always wonder, does the tape tell you, hey, we can run against Auburn, and then teams don't pass because they know they can run, right, and it makes your passing numbers look better? You know what I mean? You think it's a little bit of that? But either way, I can tell you this: Auburn at 12th in the SEC is always like, you should not be 12th in the SEC. Last year, 14 teams. This year, obviously 16. But they got that, and I think you'll see what they did in the portal is they wanted to get better on the line of scrimmage, because it clearly showed 12th in the SEC in rush defense is not sustainable for them to be playing elite football.
No, not in the SEC. Not the way it goes. That's just inexcusable. They lack depth. So you're right. They have added more bodies as defensive line. I think they're gonna rotate more. Especially the defensive end positions and things like that. Just having more of a revolving door.
Yeah, keep
the bodies fresh.
If you want to talk about them winning the portal, I was surprised they didn't get a QB. And maybe load up a little bit better at wideout. I don't know. You can make the case for it. But to me, the thing they did focus on was the defense. And they brought in some guys that I think are absolute studs. Philip Blidi from Indiana was a very good player for Indiana. You add him to the defense. Gage Keys had a great year at Kansas last year with Lance Leipold. He comes in. We'll see if he could play at that level. I know it's Big 12, but we'll see. And then Trill Carter, as I know, was a high recruit at Texas. They got to be excited about adding him. Isaiah Raikes from USC. We'll see. But Blidi, Keys, Carter, I think give this defense a lot of depth on the line of scrimmage. They also brought in KeAndre Crawford from Arkansas State.
I was gonna say I like that KeAndre Crawford.
Yeah,
he's a guy I would have my eyes. Looking at this list right here, I like KeAndre Crawford. And I like Jerrin Thompson from Texas as well.
Oh, the Thompson get was huge in the secondary. Right. Adding safety Jerrin Thompson. They also added Antonio Kite from Alabama of all places. I mean,
and they have a couple freshmen defensive ends are going to have putting in there too. Javonte Waller, Morris Williams, whatever. They're, I think that's what I'm talking about with the rotation, along with KeAndre Crawford and these guys to already help out Jalen McLeod, who was a fierce pass rusher they have.
Well, and I like the Dorian Mausi get from Duke with Mike Elko at the linebacker spot. That was a great get. You look at what they returned, some of the guys you just touched on. Jalen McLeod, 5.5 sacks a year ago. He was a stud for them. I know Eugene Asante was led the team in tackles.
Asante. What's this? His 12th year back here at Auburn?
Yeah, I swear he's on the Cam Rising plan.
He's that hard of the defense, though. It's amazing. And you know what? Why not? Come on back. He had his career year last year. I mean, I think this is his 5th year, 6th year. I think he's got 5 years under his belt.
I can tell you this: college football is paying off with this, right. I know there was a ruling recently, but getting the COVID year, getting, in the NIL, and bring them back and they can make good money as opposed to risking it, in the NFL draft or potentially in the spring football leagues or something. So I do think college football is better for that, but I really like the defense and what they added. And you mix that with, some of the guys I know they're excited about. They do have some freshmen they're excited about. That'll be, I think role players on this team, but to me, the linebacking core, I think you got to be super excited about.
Absolutely. I think that they should definitely improve on that rush defense. I mean, I don't think Asante came back for them to be last in the SEC in rush defense. He's the heart of that defense. He'll have over, what he had 86 tackles last year. I bet he, pushes over 90, over to 100, had 5 sacks as well. So it's, I agree. I agree with you. I think that linebacker is going to be the strength of their defense and that rotating defensive line.
Now they did lose a bunch of guys. Now let's talk about what left. But normally when you're going to be active, bringing people in, you know what I mean? Like it's just today's nature. So they lose Wilkie Denard to Mississippi State, defensive lineman. They lose Brenton Williams to the Flamin' Libs of Liberty.
Hugh Freeze sent him back. He said, I got a place you could sublet.
And say Sledge going, great name, going to Illinois with Brett Bielema. Steven Sings hit the portal. We don't know if, sometimes you hit the portal, you don't go anywhere. So you come back. So it could be confusing. Defensive lineman Steven Johnson heads out to McNeese State. Says, how about them Cowboys? Linebacker Wesley Steiner to Washington State. But this is the big one here. Linebacker Cam Riley to Florida State. That, I think, was a substantial loss. Defensive back Donovan Kaufman, who's a safety for them to NC State. I think that was a guy that added some depth to them. Also, Austin Alsbury to LSU, of all places. Now, I know LSU, Auburn, historic rivalry, not on the schedule this year. Colton Hood and his brother, who is a freshman this year, but they both end up at Colorado. I think that one maybe hurts a tiny bit. Marquise Gilbert also in the portal, hasn't landed anywhere. JT Rim to the Houston Cougars with Willie Fritz. A lot of production loss, but I really think you focus on, like, to me, when you're losing someone to the McNeese and Washington State and Houston, you're like, okay, that's those aren't killers, or Liberty or whatever. But to me, the NC State, the Florida State, the LSU gets even Colorado one, I think is a little bit of depth there. Right. So they did get hit, even though they, to me, did a great job adding nice pieces in the portal and defensive side of the ball. Yeah.
I mean, absolutely. I think they lost, like you said, there was a lot of hits, kind of death by paper cuts, but I think they overall they won and improved.
I think so too. With the exception of the quarterback spot is the big thing that I think the season will kind of ride on Payton Thorne there. Now, remember, no more divisions in the SEC, folks, but we're going to talk about, the over under we're going to go game by game on the schedule. Talk about the odds for them to win the SEC championship, and make the 12-team playoff, or even perhaps win another national championship. But before we do that, I want to tell you that the college football experience is brought to you by Rhythm. If you're betting on NBA player props, you need to download Rhythm. Rhythm, that's RITHMM, gives you a menu of the best player props for every single NBA playoff game, making it easy to go through and find the best props to put your money on in a matter of seconds. Rhythm's predictions are backed by over 3 years of data and a team of data scientists and quants that focus on fine-tuning their algorithm to give you the best shot at winning. Rhythm pairs its predictions with player prop graphs to help you feel even more confident in your picks. From superstars to bench players, Rhythm gives you, they find the best player prop lines, all backed by AI data without you needing to endlessly scroll through your sportsbook. So what are you doing, folks? Start a free 7-day trial and start winning with your NBA player props with Rhythm, available wherever you get your apps. All right, we are back. So the win total set at 7.5 wins for the Auburn Tigers, plus 5,500 to make the SEC championship, plus 700 to make the 12-team playoff, minus 1,400 to not make the playoff, and plus 10,000 there to win the national championship. But I'm just curious. I know we're going to go game by game on the schedule here, but when you saw 7.5 wins, you're saying, okay, well, look, historically, Freeze year 2, you can pretty much go wherever he stopped. I know he was only at Arkansas State for 1 year, but the other ones, it seems like 2 years, year 2, he gets the thing going a little bit. But the only thing I would say is that now you're adding Oklahoma and Texas to the SEC at the same time.
The SEC is not getting easier.
Yeah. Now there's no more divisions though, so you're drawing some of before. I feel like they would play Vanderbilt or play Kentucky once every 10 years. It felt like, right. But now because there's no divisions, you're going to be playing more of those. You look at what the schedule says right there: 7.5 wins. We got the schedule right there. Now I rank these. If you're wondering what the number is on the right, I rank these ones from hardest, one being 1 and the easiest being 12. But when you just look at the schedule, like I said, we're going to go game by game. But I would like to ask this question to you. So they got rid. So being in the SEC West for so many years, you play Ole Miss, Mississippi State, LSU, Alabama, Arkansas, Texas A&M. Some of those are still on the schedule, but they don't play LSU this year, which unfortunately, because I really enjoyed that rivalry, but
yes,
they don't play Mississippi State. They don't play Ole Miss. I kind of think You want Mississippi State on the schedule, but at the same time, I think Ole Miss is loading up for a run. Say with double-digit win team a season ago with Lane Kiffin there, and Brian Kelly and his family are always national contenders. So in a way, you're missing two of the better teams from your traditional schedule. Now, what do you get in return? You get Vanderbilt, Missouri, Kentucky, but Missouri's loaded. Kentucky seems to be playing better, and you get those two on the road, and then you add in the newcomer, a home game against Oklahoma. I would just wonder, would you prefer last year's schedule or would you prefer this year's schedule? Because I can tell you this, they don't have a road game until October 5th. And to me, that is, you could really build a lot of momentum. If you come out the gates, you come out the gates, and you take care of business at home at Jordan-Hare, one of the best stadiums to catch a college football game, might I add. You should be in decent shape, even when you catch Georgia. But let's go game by game here, because August 31st, they get the Bulldogs of Alabama A&M, and John Stallworth's now walking through that door, as that should be.
This road schedule is a joke. They could travel this on an Uber, for crying out loud.
Yeah. So home to Alabama A&M.
All right.
That's a win. They're 1-0. Now they're home to the California Golden Bears, which this is, what's crazy is last year's team probably should have lost that Cal game. It was like Cal had them on the ropes. They really fucked it up, in my opinion. And
we all had Cal in that game.
Well, and then the Bama game, they had Bama on the ropes. They really, so I don't know, but they ended up beating Cal, losing to Bama. Yep. You think they take care of business against Cal at Jordan-Hare?
I think they walked to 3-0.
I do too. That week 3 is Bronco Mendenhall in New Mexico coming into Jordan-Hare.
And they will not overlook them. It was in New Mexico State last year.
Yeah,
they know what that state's up to.
Yeah, Jerry Kill, Bronco Mendenhall. Kill's gone now, but yeah, New Mexico's played some good football. Week 4, they are home to Arkansas, and guess who's back at Arkansas?
I know.
Riding in on his motorcycle is the great Bobby Petrino. All right, road rash face. Look, Arkansas. I actually circled these two games as the most important games of their season to me. So home to Arkansas, I would favor Auburn here, but Arkansas, they go out, they get Taylon Green from Boise State, they bring in Bobby Petrino, Sam Pulled Pork Pittman on the hot seat. That's a gigantic game for Arkansas, but Auburn kind of has their number, I feel like, and especially at Jordan-Hare. I'm going to say they're 4-0, man. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not ready to anoint Arkansas yet. I think they're going to struggle this year, to be honest with you. They'll be on their way up, but I don't think this is the year for Arkansas. So I like it 4-0, and it'll be their first game and a great test for the next week versus Oklahoma.
Yeah, and I think I actually think I know I rank this as 4th, but to me, the most important game of the year to me is this game, because I would favor Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma's roster is a little bit better right now. It's at Jordan-Hare, which gives you a shot, but I kind of like Oklahoma's roster a little bit better than Auburn. So I think this is the biggest make or break game of the season for them. I am going to take Oklahoma to beat them here, but what are you going to do here?
This is a toss-up for me, especially being at home. Dylan Gabriel left Oklahoma, is that correct?
Jackson Arnold, big-time recruit. They were happy with that, but they also brought in the veteran Casey Thompson, used to be a quarterback at Texas and Nebraska.
Okay.
So they got a couple guys. I expect Jackson Arnold to be the starter, though. He seems to be quite the phenom. But yeah, this will be a huge road test for him early in the year. First month of starting, if it is him, maybe they start Thompson just because of that. But
this can go either way. I'll tell you what, I think because the way the schedule lays out, the 3 non-conferences cakewalk wins, and Arkansas a nice tester for this game. The 5th consecutive home game. They haven't left the state, but they haven't left their home field yet. I'm going to give them a win here, 5-0.
5-0, and then remember the win total 7.5. The very next week they head to Athens, Georgia. Now here's the thing: they do get Georgia coming off of Alabama.
Okay,
but and look, rivalry game, but they've got their ass kicked in the Deep South's oldest rivalry. They've been playing since 1892, folks. I gotta I gotta give it to Georgia.
Yeah,
in Athens, between the hedges. Yeah,
this is lock it up loss. I don't care that they're playing Alabama the week before. First of all, we don't even know what Alabama's going to be like this year. They have the talent, obviously, the rosters, but I mean, who knows what's going to happen there?
So you got them 5-1. I got them 4-2. They get a much needed bye week because they only play 4 road games, but 2 of the road games come right after the bye week. It's a great schedule in a way. Most teams play more than 4 road games, and then also most teams don't get a bye week before their back-to-back away games.
Right.
So in that regard,
and there are other road games in Tuscaloosa for crying out loud.
Yeah. Final game of the year, Iron Bowl. But they come out of the bye. They're headed to Columbia, Missouri to take on the Eli Drinkowitz, Luther Burden and company. Missouri, great season a year ago. Bring back a lot of great pieces. They do lose the defensive coordinator to LSU. It's a winnable game, to me, but I would favor Missouri just because of who they return. Now, Missouri did win a lot of close games a year ago, and I always wonder, was that a 1-year wonder? Did you catch lightning in a bottle by winning those close games? But I still think Missouri's ahead of them. I think Columbia, Missouri's a sneaky road trip there in the SEC, harder than I think people think. So I will take Missouri to beat them. And I got them losing 3 straight games now. Oklahoma, Georgia, Missouri. What are you doing here?
I think this is a automatic loss at Mizzou. I'm not that they don't have a chance. What they do have going for it is the bye week, which helps them out. But no, Missouri's a better team. They're going to win. Yeah.
So you got them now sitting there at 5-2. I got them at 4-3. This is a gigantic game the very next week in Lexington, taking on Mark Stoops' Kentucky Wildcats. Man, I mean, talk about a 50-50 game too.
Yeah, this is a coin flip right here.
Yeah, I still think I would make Kentucky a small favorite. If it was up to me to set the line, I would still say Kentucky minus 2.5, something like that. So I'll take Kentucky, but I would not be shocked at all if Auburn won this game. But I'm going to take the Wildcats to get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. I have Kentucky in this, so that's all. Now I have them losing 3 in a row. You have them losing 4 in a row.
Yeah, and then comes the big one here. They're hosting the Vanderbilt Commodores, and when I joke, but I don't joke because Jerry Kill is now on the staff at Vanderbilt.
Yeah, you don't joke.
And their starting quarterback Diego Pavia was at New Mexico State when they went in to Auburn and got the win.
We all know what happened there. Yeah.
But I'm taking Auburn to take care of business here. Yeah,
they got to right the ship versus Vanderbilt.
So man, I had them losing 4 straight games. So
I'm losing 4 straight. I am losing 3 straight.
So I got them at 5-4 right now. Magic number 7.5. They get another bye week. Every team's getting 2 bye weeks this year. And then they're home to ULM. Bryant Vincent comes over after being UAB's interim head coach, and last year was in Albuquerque. That's fine. ULM's horrible. So they moved to 6-4 for me.
And I got them at 7-3.
7-3. Now you're home to Mike Elko at Texas A&M.
Woo-wee. Here we go. This is the season. This is your win total right here.
Well, for you're on it. I need 2 more wins, and that is why.
Well, you're not going to get them.
Well, I think I don't think they're going to win both. I think they can win one of these.
All right, but I do think they can get A&M. I don't think they beat Alabama. As much as it could be chaos out there without Saban, but Alabama's still body for body way better than Auburn.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I still think I might even favor A&M here, unless I see Auburn make great strides. I kind of think A&M is recruited so well. And I think Elko is such a good coach. I know it's in Jordan Hare, but and then I would obviously favor Bama in Tuscaloosa.
We should point out that the 7.5 win total is heavily juiced towards the under.
Yes, that is fair.
You can get over 7.5. They do not expect them to go over 7.5. You can get that at plus 140. I'm looking at the over and minus 170 for the under.
And I should point out that pre Nick Saban from 2000, we're talking this century. Auburn was 5-1 against Alabama pre Nick Saban. So
okay, and they should have won that game. And they should have won that game last year. Obviously, just an absolute heartbreaker. That last play of the game there, just insane. Always a rivalry game. They're never out of that game. If you need to get that win, not the worst thing. But yeah, to have to win both, that's a tall task. Luckily, I only need them to win one to get over.
So you're on the over.
I'm on the over. Listen, this is what it comes down to. They got I'd say 5 wins in the bank. The 3 non-conferences to start off the season. Vanderbilt and ULM. That's 5 wins.
Yes.
They're losing Georgia. They're losing Missouri. They're losing Alabama. Let's just say that 5-3. And then you got 4 other games that are coin tosses. So you just got to win, or 5 other games. How does that work? Is that how that math works?
Yeah,
4
but
games?
you got to win. You got to win what, 3 of those, right?
Yeah,
you got to win 3 of the 5.
So it's A&M, Kentucky,
Oklahoma,
and Arkansas.
Yeah. So those
are the 4 coin tosses, I'd say. You got to win 3 of those.
The problem is, those, I feel like, you're getting a lot of those at home.
Yeah,
but I almost feel like the roster is better at A&M, Kentucky, and Oklahoma. Now, Arkansas, you can sell me on, like, Auburn's roster is better, but I don't know, man. I know you get a lot of those at home, so you got that in one way, but
right.
I'm gonna take the under. I feel pretty solid about it.
Yeah, you can definitely convince me on the under when I speak that out loud. But my wild card is watch out if they get another quarterback to come in late August.
Yeah, that would be the difference maker to me. You add a good quarterback to this, and I'm not saying Payton Thorne's horrible, but
no, nothing against Payton Thorne, but I mean, they could use an upgrade and they could definitely use competition there.
Yeah, I actually think the schedule breaks nice for them, considering, the
schedule's great for them.
Well, you don't have LSU, you don't have Ole Miss,
right.
You don't have Texas,
yeah.
and maybe you want Mississippi State.
4 road games, for crying out loud.
Yeah, exactly. 4 road games. You get a bye week before you're back-to-back away. Yes, you wish you had Mississippi State on the schedule, in my opinion. Yes, you wish you had Florida on the schedule, in my opinion. But, I still think you're not getting Texas. You're not getting LSU. You're not getting Ole Miss. That is good, for business, in my opinion. So, yes, this new SEC is crazy because you still have Oklahoma, Georgia, A&M, and Alabama. And those are hard games to win. And Mizzou too is supposed to be good. So I don't know. I feel pretty decent about the under. I think 7-5. Now that's the question, CJ. Before we get out of here, they fired Harsin after 2 years. If you if you go 6-7 again, they're not going to pull the trigger on that, right? They're going to give a 3rd year, right?
They can. I mean, they can go 2-8 as long as you beat Alabama.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to watch, folks. Folks, that's our show. Make sure you give CJ Sullivan a follow on Twitter at CJ Sullivan _. He's going to be with us for a lot of these previews. Check out the Bottom Line Bombs podcast, where CJ talks pretty much every sport nonstop. College baseball is coming up. He's talking about that. He's talking MLB. He's talking horse race. He's talking NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, everything.
Someone left a review of it the other day. All gas, no brakes is a Bottom Line Bombs, and you're along for the ride. Let's go.
There you go.
I don't get break the head cold
when he saw that review. But yes, give him a follow. Make sure you give me a follow on Twitter at @TheColbyD. We're previewing every single team. Start now for the SEC first. We're going one, conference first. Alabama, Auburn, Arkansas, just knocking out those, going one by one. Going through all 134 teams with the solo podcast for each and every single team of the land. Check out the College Football Experience. Also, check out the FCS College Football Experience that I host. We're breaking down every conference right now, talking about what they got. So maybe you want to scout Alabama A&M. Maybe you're a Samford fan and you want a North Alabama fan. You say, how are we going to be this year? Hop on over, check out the FCS College Football Experience. Also myself, CJ, and J Mark host the UFL. Birmingham Stallion fans out there, represent.
Yeah, as long as the Wi-Fi in Iowa complies, then we'll all be there.
UFL Gambling Podcast as our third man in the booth did have some Wi-Fi problems. Check it all out, folks. Check out the Sports Gambling Podcast and SGPN. Get that app in the App Store. It's free to download in the App Store and Google Play Store. You'll get access to all of our picks when the season starts. We pick every single game against the spread. Been doing this shit for a long time. So check it all out. And I think you could hear this one on the Locks episode. Just going to throw that out there early. Until next time, folks, this is the college football experience, Auburn Tiger style. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.
Run and shoot. We can really run and shoot.